Maria Sabio, clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist. So often I get from my clients, why is it that my mother doesn't understand me? Why doesn't my father understand me? Why don't they love me? Why didn't they do this? Why did they do that? And not just our parents, our siblings, our friends, our partner. And the thing is that if you continue to look at why they don't do certain things, you're going to be trapped in somebody else's cage, basically, because you're going to constantly want them to change, and they're not going to change. What they're doing for them at some level, they think is working for them. And so the only thing that you can do is to start to look at how you can change your own perception, your own experience, where you need to add boundaries in your relationships, and to stop blaming. Because when you stop blaming them, you take full responsibility for your own emotions and your own thinking and your own life. The other thing is that most of the time, very often, if you're having a lot of issues with your parents, it is possible that your parents are emotionally challenged in some way. Now, that doesn't mean that, oh, they can change. They would actually have to get a little therapy or speak to someone or have a shift in perspective in order for them to change as well. And so what happens with them sometimes is that if they're emotionally challenged, in some cases, they've experienced something in their younger years, under 10, that taught them that this is how they need to survive. This is how they need to protect themselves. This is safe for them in some way or another. And what happens is that sometimes when people are emotionally challenged, they may have experienced something that they haven't shared with you. You know, maybe, grandma or grandpa or one of the uncles or family friend or relative was mentally abusive, physically abusive. Maybe their parents went through a divorce. Maybe one of them had a drinking problem. And so these things make the child, your parent as a child, protect themselves and shut down in order to stay safe. So I don't know, and you don't know the whole story. And so maybe the question should be, how can I have more compassion for my parents? And how do I put up boundaries that allow me to grow, that allow me to have the feeling of being worthy, of understanding that I am someone that's lovable? Because just because your parents aren't able to express how much they love you doesn't mean that you're not lovable. Now, at this point, you may have habits that make you someone that a lot of people don't like hanging out with, and that doesn't mean that you can't change. That doesn't mean that you can't shift your own perspective, and maybe you had to do certain things in order to survive your parents and your growing up. So just to give you, some insight as to why our parents sometimes, or why it feels sometimes that our parents don't love us. Sometimes our parents are a little emotionally challenged, but that doesn't mean that we're not lovable. And that doesn't mean that we can't change ourselves and also the relationship that we have with our parents or anyone else in our lives. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please reach out. And if you're looking to make a real change in your life, book a strategy call so that you can begin to work on that right away.